What's up, y'all? I had a request from some of my colleagues and peers asking me to make a video talking about my remote development environment that I keep here at my home. I use it for all my side project work. It's my self-hosted sort of all-in-one development kit. I call it sort of my GitHub in a box that I use for to kind of reproduce all the services that you would get with a big provider like GitHub. I'm a big fan of self-hosting all of my stuff where I can, so I can keep my personal data out of the hands of the big players and my client data and things of that sort. So I'll go through and I'll talk about some of the services that I try to recreate and how I go about it. One of the driving factors is trying to keep the cost at zero, for one. Two, to recreate all the core services and some bells and whistles and some niceties. And also to make it where it's really portable. I can spin this up, I can spin it down. I can turn on the services I do need or turn off the ones I don't need. So one of my checklist of items that I'd like to have is obviously a good source code manager. So, Git for something like that. Remote development through Coder. So I can spin up remote development environments, which stands up a web version of VS Code. And I can add all the extensions with some caveats. If you're into AI coding assistance, I will use something like Codium because it doesn't cost me anything. Uh, I like using GitHub gists, or I used to like using those um, in order to jot down, my thoughts and scratch pads and notes and procedures and processes. So a recreation of GitHub gists, also a recreation of GitHub pages, which I don't have shown here, which would be something like Codeberg. I like static code analysis sometimes. So I'll use something like SonarQube for static code analysis. We'll use git actions. So we'll have ourselves a good CI/CD pipeline tool, and a couple other niceties like proxpy, so we don't hit, so we can cache Python modules and packages, and also a local Docker registry, so we don't hit rate limits from Docker Hub. And I think there might be a couple of others in there, but that's the basic loadout that I'll go through. I'll show you how I build this thing up from nothing all the way up to a full suite of utilities as a software developer that I use. Like I said, I think I got source code manager, remote development, CI/CD, some dependency management. I'll kind of recreate a dependabot using something like Renovate that will go through and automatically inspect my repositories and my code and make sure that I've got up to date dependencies, gists, pages, a PyPy mirror, a Docker Hub cache, and static code analysis. So, I mean, there's probably some other things I could throw in there, but that's the basic loadout that I'll go through. And the nice thing, like I said, I can turn this whole development environment on, I can turn it all back off, or I can switch on different features and services. Like I said, I call it GitHub in a box, or maybe more appropriately, the all-in-one dev kit that I use. I run the whole thing off a small old Intel NUC unit that sits in my office. So you could install this on your own laptop if you wanted to, or your desktop. It would work just fine there. I just keep like a little dev box sitting off in the corner. It's pretty low resource utilization, and it works pretty well for what I do. So we'll get started, and I'll show you how I build this whole thing up from scratch.